In the beginning there was light, pure, untainted, absolute. But what happens when that very light turns against its source? What occurs when perfection itself rebels against the perfect one? You are about to witness the most profound betrayal in all existence, a story written in starlight and sealed in shadow. This is not merely a tale of good versus evil. This is the chronicle of how beauty became horror, how the highest fell to become the lowest, how the morning star transformed into the prince of darkness. Before time began, before worlds were formed, there existed a being whose splendor outshone all creation. His name, some say it should never be uttered, others whisper it in prayer. But tonight, you will learn the true story of Lucifer. If ancient mysteries call to your soul, if you hunger for the secrets hidden in sacred texts, then this journey has only just begun. Subscribe now, for the path ahead reveals truths that have shaped every mythology, every religion, every human understanding of light and darkness. Before his fall, Lucifer stood as the crown jewel of divine creation. The ancient texts describe him as the most beautiful of all the seraphim, beings of pure flame who surrounded the throne of the Almighty. His name itself means light-bearer or morning star, for he was the first to reflect the divine radiance. Imagine, if you can, perfection made manifest. 6 wings of pristine light, a voice that could harmonize the very spheres, and wisdom that encompassed the foundations of reality itself. Lucifer was not merely an angel, he was the covering cherub, the one who walked among the stones of fire, closest to the divine presence. The book of Ezekiel speaks of his splendor. You were the seal of perfection, full of wisdom and perfect in beauty. Every precious stone was your covering, the sardius, topaz and diamond, the beryl, onyx and jasper, the sapphire, turquoise and emerald with gold. He was the music master of heaven, his very being creating melodies that kept the cosmos in harmony. When Lucifer moved, creation itself sang. When he spread his wings, galaxies danced in their courses. He was beloved above all others, the son of the morning, the one in whom the Creator delighted. But in this very perfection lay the seed of something unprecedented. The transformation did not happen in a moment. Like a crack forming in the most perfect crystal, pride began its subtle work in the heart of the morning star. The very gifts that made Lucifer magnificent became the instruments of his downfall. The prophet Isaiah recorded the words that would echo through eternity. "How you are fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning! For you have said in your heart, I will ascend into heaven, I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will also sit on the mount of the congregation on the farthest sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High." 5 declarations, 5 "I will" statements that shattered the harmony of creation. In that moment, something impossible occurred. A perfect being chose imperfection. The created desired to become the creator. The light-bearer decided he no longer wished to reflect light, but to be its source. This was not mere ambition. This was the birth of sin itself, the introduction of rebellion into a realm where only obedience had existed. Lucifer gazed upon his own beauty, contemplated his own wisdom, and concluded that surely he deserved worship rather than service. The greatest tragedy? His rebellion was not born of ignorance, but of perfect knowledge turned to perfect arrogance. What followed defied all understanding. The unthinkable became reality. War erupted in the realm of perfect peace. Lucifer's charisma, his beauty, his position of authority proved devastatingly effective. 1/3 of the heavenly host chose to follow him rather than remain loyal to their creator. The Archangel Michael, whose name means "who is like God," stood as heaven's champion against the morning star. Ancient sources describe a conflict beyond human comprehension, not merely a battle of swords and shields, but a war of will against will, of created power against uncreated power. The book of Revelation gives us glimpses, and war broke out in heaven. Michael and his angels fought with the dragon, and the dragon and his angels fought, but they did not prevail, nor was a place found for them in heaven any longer. Picture this cosmic conflict, beings of pure spirit clashing across dimensions we cannot fathom. Former brothers in arms now turned against each other, the very foundations of reality trembling as the rebellion spread. Stars themselves were said to have been swept away by the dragon's tail. But this was not a war of equals. Despite his power, despite his followers, despite his perfect knowledge of divine strategy, Lucifer discovered the terrible truth: the created can never overcome the creator. The defeat was absolute. John Milton would later write of 9 days of falling through chaos and void, but the ancient texts speak simply of expulsion, immediate, final, irreversible. So the great dragon was cast out, that serpent of old called the devil and Satan, who deceives the whole world. He was cast to the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. In that moment of banishment, the morning star died, and Satan was born. The light-bearer became the prince of darkness. His beautiful form, once radiant beyond description, was transformed into something that reflected his inner corruption. Where once stood perfection, now crouched ruin. The fall was not merely physical, from heaven to earth, from light to darkness. It was ontological, a fundamental change in the very nature of being. Lucifer lost not just his position, but his ability to create beauty, to inspire worship through magnificence. What remained was the memory of glory and an eternal hunger to reclaim what was lost. Yet even in his fallen state, traces of his former magnificence remained, twisted, corrupted, but still powerful enough to deceive and seduce. For how else could the father of lies convince others to follow him? The most effective deception always contains an element of truth, and Satan's lies are made believable by the fragments of light that still cling to his darkness. Cast out from heaven, Lucifer did not simply fade into nothingness. Instead, he established a new kingdom, a dark mirror of what he had lost. If he could not rule in heaven, he would reign in hell. If he could not create beauty, he would perfect corruption. If he could not inspire love, he would master fear. The traditional understanding places Satan as the ruler of hell, the judge of the damned, the tempter of humanity. But this was not his original design, it was his chosen adaptation. Unable to destroy the work of God directly, he settled for corrupting it, for leading astray those made in the divine image. In this new role, the fallen morning star discovered a terrible power. While he could no longer create, he proved devastatingly effective at destroying. While he could no longer inspire pure worship, he became master of manipulation and deception. The very wisdom that once served heaven now served as the foundation for every temptation, every lie, every fall of those who came after. His court in the darkness became populated with those angels who had chosen rebellion alongside him. Together they formed a hierarchy of corruption, each seeking to drag down what they could no longer lift up. The beautiful became grotesque, the harmonious became cacophonous, the light-bearers became the children of darkness. But here lies the deepest mystery of all. In the ancient understanding, even in his fallen state, Lucifer remains what he was created to be, a bearer of light, corrupted, twisted, serving purposes he never intended, but still reflecting something of his original glory. Some traditions speak of his memory of heaven as his greatest torment, to have known perfect beauty and lost it, to have experienced unbroken communion with the divine and chosen exile, to have been the morning star and become the angel of the bottomless pit. Others whisper of an even stranger truth, that in his very rebellion, Lucifer serves a purpose greater than his own understanding. That somehow, in ways beyond mortal comprehension, even the Prince of Darkness plays a role in a cosmic symphony he sought to destroy. The ancient texts speak of an end to this story, a final judgment, a lake of fire, a conclusion to the rebellion that began before time, but they also speak of mysteries hidden from human understanding, of plans within plans, of light that shines in the darkness and darkness that cannot overcome it. And so the question remains, hanging in the eternal spaces between heaven and earth. Is the fallen morning star forever lost, or does some spark of his original glory wait, hidden beneath millennia of pride and pain, for a redemption as impossible as his original fall? The light-bearer fell into darkness, but perhaps the light remembers what it was before it chose to become shadow.